Is the speed of light a constant? Why is the measured speed of light the same? Does it mean that ether or even absolute space does not exist? 1887 American physicist Albert Michelson and Edward Morey's search for what Newton called absolute space. Based on the theory discussed in the previous section, we know, when the Earth passes through the ether in its orbit around the Sun, in the direction of the Earth's movement through the ether, that is, the speed of light when we move towards a light source, should be greater than the direction at right angles to that movement, that is, the speed of light when we are not moving towards a light source. When compared to the speed of light perpendicular to it, and they were surprised to find that the two speeds of light were exactly the same. Later, Michelson and Morey did several more experiments. But no matter how you measure it, the speed of light is the same. What does this mean? According to the previous conclusion, since the light waves are propagated in the ether, if the speed of light does not change, the ether is stationary. We know that light can travel anywhere in the universe. So the ether should permeate the entire space. And if the ether is immobile and fills the space, then the motion of all objects it can be seen as relative to the etheric motion. The ether is in a sense equivalent to absolute space. Michelson-Morey experiment. That is, the speed of light in different directions is measured the same on Earth. Meaning in the case of ether rest, the Earth should be stationary with respect to absolute space. But we all know that the Earth is moving all the time. In addition to its own rotation and revolution around the Sun, it will also join other planets in the solar system, is affected by the gravitational pull of the Milky Way. That is, the Earth cannot be stationary. Faced with these two contradictory results, how do people explain this? Between 1887 and 1905, a lot of scientists were experimenting, trying to explain the results of the Michelson-Morey experiment. Of course, when 1905, an obscure clerk at the Swiss Patent Office, when proposing the principle of invariance of the speed of light in his paper. This little clerk is Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein noted in a famous paper of that year, as long as people are willing to abandon the notion of absolute time, then the whole idea of the ether is superfluous. On the premise of subverting all the speculations and ideas of the past, Albert Einstein came up with a more plausible explanation. That is, the principle that the speed of light does not change. This principle is proposed. Let the ether, the medium of light, lose the necessity of existence. The basic assumptions of the theory of relativity are, no matter what speed the observer does, he moves freely. The laws of science should all be the same relative to themselves. There is no doubt that this theory is applicable to Newton's laws of motion, but it's much more wide, extended to Maxwell's theory and the speed of light. That is, because Maxwell's theory states that the speed of light has a fixed value. Hence the observer of any free movement, it doesn't matter how fast you leave or approach the speed of light, they're sure to measure the same value. In special relativity, the principle of invariance of the speed of light refers to, observe under any circumstances, the speed at which light travels in a vacuum is a constant. The value is 299,792,458 meters per second. This value is not based on the light source or the observer, the relative motion of the frame of reference in which it is located. Of course, the principle of invariance of the speed of light can also be passed. Contact Maxwell's equations to solve. In addition, in the general theory of relativity, which Einstein later proposed, since the so-called inertial frame of reference does not exist anymore, so Einstein introduced the principle of general relativity. That is, the form of the laws of physics is constant in all frames of reference. In this way, the principle of the invariance of the speed of light it can now be applied to all reference frames. Einstein's theory of relativity discarded the concept of the ether. Because at the same speed of light, there is no need to think about the frame of reference or the medium through which the light waves are conducted. And if you don't consider the medium of ether, then there is no such thing as absolute space. Since then, the ether has been gradually abandoned by physicists.